Let's talk about energy issues in our country, and we are starting to move in a direction where you could even feed energy back into the grid. Well, energy expert Vally Padayachee has written an article dispelling what he calls myths on reselling electricity back to Eskom. It has seen some confusion in the marketplace around certain aspects associated with what we now know to be electricity reselling. Well, Vally Padayachee joining me to try and dispel some of these myths. Vally, good morning to you. I appreciate your time. Hope you're able to hear me. So what are some of the myths? We'll get to some of the confusion in a moment. Let's start with the myths, though. What are people misunderstanding?
Good morning, Gareth, and a very good morning to your viewers as well. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, and I call it myths and misconceptions because, as you rightfully say, there were, of recently, there's some confusion as to what is actually reselling about. And actually the biggest misconception is that is electricity reselling regulated. So, and some of the other misconceptions and myths are, does electricity resellers have any legal status? Is the process of electricity reselling regulated? Can resellers make a profit, etc., etc.?
Yeah.
So just as a quick response to that, and for the avoidance of any doubt and misunderstanding, electricity reselling is regulated. It's governed by law vis-a-vis the Electricity Regulation Act of 2006 as amended in August 2021 in terms of Section 3.5 of Schedule 2.
So what does that now mean for someone? I think this is what I'm trying to get to, Vally, as well, because, and I think this is where the confusion comes in, is when it's all these amendments and changes, and it's changes to 3.2 and 3.5. Someone has gone and invested in a solar system at home. Let's say it's a fairly big one. Let's go 8 kVA, which is a fair amount of power for a household. And I want to resell that back to Eskom. Can I do it? Is it as easy as me phoning Eskom, or do I send a WhatsApp to Andre de Ruyter? What do I do to sell back to Eskom if I've got surplus energy?
Yeah, let me make a difference. The electricity reselling that I'm talking about, as per the Act I quoted and the Section 3.5, is reselling into, very simply, into block of flats, into a sectional title entity.
Yeah.
Right? So in other words, where the utility, vis-a-vis Eskom or City Power, for example, supplies to a bulk meter to that block of flats, and then thereafter a reseller will be governed by the Act, will supply into those, I don't know, 30, 40 or even 100 sort of tenants, right? Now, what you're talking about is slightly different. In other words, it's where the end-use customer, whether it's your residents, your commercial or industrials, who self-generate and have extra power, and they could put that back onto the grid. So given the crisis situation, there are significant initiatives and efforts by government as well to, remove a number of those blockages and
the red tape, yeah.
Yes, the red tape to bring on those electrons onto the grid. There are some legislative regulatory challenges currently, especially with respect to Munich, but government is working on that to remove the red tape. So the long and short of it is, we, as a government, and I'm not talking on behalf of government, but I work with government, we are looking forward to bringing on all those electrons onto the grid from those end-use customers.
So apart from being able to physically resell, and you say that processes are in place to be able to expedite that and have the red tape taken away as well. What would the benefit be? What's the real benefit for reselling electricity?
Well, at a very strategic level, and we're talking in the context of the crisis, as you probably know, we need 6,000 megawatts on the grid. So whether we generate the 6,000 megawatts of firm load, I'm talking about dispatchable capacity, whether we generate the 6,000 megawatts or we through demand side management, save those megawatts, that will be the major benefit to the country. And of course, it will contribute to preventing load shedding. So even the smallest reselling initiative to block of flats would make a contribution in that direction. If we can get those renewables onto rooftops and et cetera, et cetera.
So it certainly is worth for electricity to be resold or to sell on resale of electricity in our country. We're not there just yet, but it looks like it is beginning to move in that direction. Vali, thank you very much indeed. And I know it was something that you wrote. You've explained it very nicely to us, but I've just gone and found the article as well. So if you want to read the actual article that Vali and I were talking about, energy expert Vally Padayachee, you can go onto the website. It's the Association of Municipal Electricity Utility. That's quite a title if you want the website address, ameu.co.za. Just go to the blogs section on ameu.co.za, and I'm sure you can find it there.